So you might be familiar with that linear power supply. Last year, you might have studied about that linear IC regulators. Yes or no? Are you familiar with that IC regulators?
Yes, sir.
Sure.
Okay. So what are the requirements in that linear power supply? Or can you discuss the various blocks which are available in that linear power supply? First block is what?
Sir, transformer.
Directly transformer? Any else?
Yes, sir. ट्रान्सफॉर्मर असतो पहिला.
What about source?
हा सोर्स राहील.
Source rail. Okay. Then?
Rectifier, sir.
Okay. After that transformer, there is rectifier. Very good.
मग फिल्टर कॅपॅसिटर.
Filters.
Very nice. Filter capacitor is also required. Then?
Regulator.
व्होल्टेज रेग्युलेटर
Voltage regulator.
Voltage regulator. Very good.
आणि आउटपुट कॅपॅसिटर.
Okay. That is for, again, to remove the, we can say, the high frequency signals or somewhat transitions we occurred, that transitions occurred. So to remove that transition, there is need of that another capacitor. Okay. Now the first question is it mandatory to use that first component, and that is nothing but the transformer, step down transformer? See, before rectifier circuit, we are using step down transformer, yes or no? So we
Yes,
think
sir.
only that rectifier circuit. So the question is it really mandatory to use the step down transformer before that rectifier circuit? If yes, why? If no, why?
सर कारण की तिकडे जो डायोड आहे त्याचा जो व्होल्टेज रिक्वायरमेंट आहे तो खूप कमी असतो म्हणून.
हे आपण वापरला नाही तरी चालेल ते, कारण आहे ना
Yes, yes.
तुम्ही मागच्या वेळेस सांगितलेलं ते मला आठवत नाही आता,
Okay.
पण
That's
चालू
why I'm
शकतो आपण
asking.
डायरेक्ट रेक्टिफायरला जॉईन करू शकतो सोर्स.
Yes, correct. We can use. See, first of all, last time we discussed about the diode and its various requirements, like how to limit the current flowing through diode to its maximum current handling capacity. And I think I take that example as a 1 ampere, right? And if we use, how much was that selected resistor? It was somewhat few ohms. And if the applied voltage is 100 volts, so at 100 volts, that current will going on to reach to the 1 ampere, that is maximum current handling capacity, right now. So remember, it is not mandatory in a rectifier circuit. We should always prefer step down transformer, first thing. Without step down transformer, you can convert that AC voltage to DC voltage, right? That rectifier circuit, it is nothing but to convert AC to DC. Okay. But what happens if we do not use that step down transformer? Our main supply is 230 volt RMS. Am I right? So if that main supply is 230 volt RMS, and if it is directly converted to DC, pulsating DC, first of all, we think on that pulsating DC, and there is a bridge rectifier. Okay, by using 4 diodes, because fully rectifier using 2 diodes requires 3 terminal AC source, and in our first condition we are considering only that input either 230 volt main supply, right? So we can't drive that fully rectifier using 2 diodes by using our 230 volt mains, because the requirement of that fully rectifier using two diode is what? There is a need of 3-terminal AC source. Now, if you can recall, just try to recall, whenever you study the various rectifiers using single diode, that is half wave rectifier, full wave rectifier using 2 diodes, and bridge rectifier using 4 diodes. So the basic difference between that full wave rectifier using 2 and bridge is that the output is same. The nature of output is also same. Efficiency is also same. Last time also already we discussed it. But the P inverse voltage handling capacity of full wave rectifier, it gets double, right? That means the PIV rating of the diode which is used in the 2 diode full wave rectifier circuit requires double PIV rating. While in case of bridge rectifier, as we know, as 2 diodes at a time are in conduction, so that 2 diodes combinedly sustain that reverse applied voltage to it, right? That means the peak inverse voltage handling capacity requirement for bridge rectifier is less as compared to full wave rectifier. Okay. And the second major important point is what? In case of 2 diode full wave rectifier, there is a need of 3-terminal AC source. That's why I'm asking if you can recall, just try it. Across secondary, we are connecting 2 diodes at the outer 2 terminals. In the center terminal, it is grounded, right? And the cathode terminal of that both diodes are combinedly connected to the load resistance, and that load resistance is connected to the ground, second terminal of that RL, right? So that is the basic working. You are already familiar. We will not going on to discuss much more on that. So the first thing that you have to remember, there is it is not mandatory. We should prefer the step down transformer in case of rectifier circuit. We can directly rectify that 230 volt RMS to pulsating DC. So we'll again continue with our same example. If there is a bridge rectifier and we have to convert that 230 volt to the pulsating DC, how much it will be? What do you think? Are you getting my question? If that 230 volt is directly converted to pulsating DC, how much will be the peak amplitude of that pulsating DC? So simple formula. Already I told it's a bridge rectifier. So for bridge rectifier, you already derived the average DC voltage, that is VLDC equals to pi Vn by pi. Am I right? This much will be the average DC voltage of that pulsating DC. Now, what I told, we are converting our 230 volt mains directly to pulsating DC without any step down. So my question is, how much will be the peak voltage? It's so simple. See, as it is 230 volt RMS, its peak level, positive peak and negative peak, will have how much amplitude? Just try to calculate it. The RMS equals to Vm by root 2. So that peak voltage will be equals to 230 into root 2. So it will come as 325 volts. Am I right? Again, if you have Calci notebook pen, you just write 230 volt main supply. If it is directly converted to DC, pulsating DC, how much will be the peak value obtained of that pulsating DC, neglecting the voltage drop of diodes. Initially, we will consider that diode as ideal diode. That means there is no voltage drop of 0.7. Okay. Are you getting my audio properly?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. So just try it now. See, if 230 volt RMS, how much will be its Vm? I think in our previous lecture already we discussed on these things. So Vm equals to
325 volt.
Yes, it is 325 volts, right? So just imagine whatever pulsating DC you will obtain after that bridge rectification. I think you might have observing that just that pulsating DC and how much will be its peak. Its peak will be of 325 volts. Am I right? Now, to that pulsating DC, continuous pulsating DC signal, if I connect a DMM for its voltage measurement, what that DMM will read? First of all, that DMM will is going on to read that values as it is a pulsating DC, that values as 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up to 325, and again from 325 to 0. Will it going on to read that values like this, or somewhat constant value? What do you think? Just imagine that pulsating DC waveform in front of you, and if we have connected a DMM across that pulsating DC having peak value as 325, so how much it will going on to read? What do you think? Nobody can answer? It's so simple. What DMM will going on to read? Will it going on to read that voltage?
So it will be the average value.
Average value. So be fast now. You are already familiar. How much will be the average value?
So twice Vm by pi.
How much?
206 or 207.
207.06.
Yes, correct. It will be of 207 volts, right? So just note down this value 207 because later on we will require it, and that's why I am asking and suggested you to note down these values, right? Now, during the last year, already you studied about that linear IC regulators. Examples are like positive 6 regulator, that is 7-8 series, and negative 6, that is 7-9 series, right? So before going to that, see, whatever the things we discussed, if that 230 volt RMS, if it is directly rectified by using our full rectifier, its peak level, it will be of 325 volts. You already answered it, right? So my question was, if the DMM is connected across such type of pulsating DC, what it will be going to read? So it will be going to read this one as VLDC, and which is equals to, as per that derived formula for that fully rectifier, and that is twice Vm by pi, and it will be of equals to 207 volts. So this 207 volt, it is the average DC voltage which is obtained by that or from that pulsating DC measured by our DMM, right? So last year already you studied about that 7-8 series, positive fix, 7-9 series, negative fix, then one more, that is LM317, that is positive variable, and LM337, that is negative variable, right? So to all these regulators, one thing you might have studied, that is their Vin max is equals to 37 volts or 40 volt, up to 40 volts. So these things are given in the data set. No need to worry about it. So whatever the thing is shown, that is 37 volt DC, that is the maximum voltage handling capacity of that regulator IC. And what I ask, is there really need of in case of these linear power supplies? So see, what will be going to happen, instead of that 37, if I apply 207 volts as the input without step down to this any one regulator IC, what will be going to happen? That regulator IC will going on to, okay, so what we discuss is that input voltage, that is 230 volt RMS, if it is directly rectified without step down, we will get 207 volt DC. And if such a voltage is applied as an input to the regulator IC, it will go on to damage, right? And note down, that's why there is a need of step down transformer in our linear power supply, correct? Or according to, suppose there is no that regulator IC, and whatever the DC voltage we will obtain after that rectifier. So what load we are connecting? See, if this one is our rectifier circuit, either fully rectifier using two diode or bridge, whatever it may be, and directly if there is some load RL, right? And again, for this load, there is a voltage handling capacity or its requirement. First of all, remember that load resistance RL, it is not like that. It is only a resistor. Generally, it is shown by RL. It indicates that load has somewhat its resistance, correct? That RL, it may be our LED. So this is nothing but RL combinedly. So this rectifier circuit, right now. Last time already we discussed about this RS. This combinedly, this is nothing but what? It is RL. And again, I already told the operating voltage of this LED, if it is of 5 volts, 5 volt DC. If that applied DC voltage exceeds to 5 volts, then that LED gets damaged. This is our consideration right now. Now see, without step down, if I applied 230 volt AC mains at the input of that rectifier, what will be going to happen? The rectified output voltage, it will be of 207 volts. Immediately, this load will get damaged. Agree? So according to load condition, we have to decide how much should be the DC voltage obtained after this rectifier, and to have that much DC voltage, we have to identify is there really need of step down that input or not. Clear? Another thing, if there is another type of load like a DC motor, somewhat large size DC motor, and its operating voltage by the manufacturer, if it is mentioned as VL max is equals to, suppose 250 volt DC, and VL min is equals to, suppose 200 volt DC. Just imagine there is a, suppose motor, DC motor of large rating, we can say, large voltage as well as current rating. This is again nothing but what? It is RL, load resistance. Now in this case, as the load requires minimum of 200 volt DC and maximum we can apply is of 250 volt DC, is it? After rectification, how much DC we are obtaining without any step down? We are obtaining 207 volts. Am I right? So in such case, there is no need of step down transformer. Are you getting now? What is the, or how to select or find out, is there really need of that step down transformer as a input to the rectifier circuit? Are you getting?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. So see, in our linear power supply, first of all, we have to decide there is a need of step down transformer, right? Why there is need of step down transformer? Without step down, the converted DC is 207 volts. Our linear IC regulator can sustain maximum input as 37 volts. So to avoid the damage of that linear regulator or to limit its input voltage, the obtained output DC of that rectifier, it should be small. How much and everything we will want to discuss in detail. But at this stage, first of all, we'll decide really there is a need of that step down transformer or not. Okay. Now,
सर जर आपण ट्रान्सफॉर्मर वापरला नाही आणि व्होल्टेज डिवायडर वापरले तर तिथे
okay. But in that case, you will require very high wattage resistors because we are rectifying first of all, that AC mains directly, right now. And to that AC mains, the current rating is, that means that AC supply, it is very strong AC supply. So it will have a very strong DC voltage source. That 207 volt converted DC is of very strong DC source. Now in that case, whatever resistors you will require will be of very high wattage. And the disadvantage of that voltage divider is nothing but, see, you are considering like this, suppose 207 volt is applied and my requirement is suppose 5 volts, I can obtain it, no issue, by selecting proper values of R1 and R2.
अरे म्हणजे मल्टिपल व्होल्टेज डिवायडर बोलतोय मी, असं सिरीज मध्ये बॅक टू बॅक कनेक्टेड.
It's okay now, but whatever, see, what I'm saying, whatever resistors you will require, it's, first of all, power rating should be very high. And second thing, voltage divider is nothing but what? We are doing the dropout, power drop across that R2, right now. And this is nothing but unnecessarily, there will be a wastage of power. Is it? And that is equals to that voltage, node voltage, that is equals to 5 volts. See, somewhat current, continuous current will be going to flow through this R2, and there will be a voltage drop across the R2 like this, which we are calling that voltage drop as a node voltage. Is it? But without wasting or dissipating that power, we can step down it by using a step down transformer. Am I right? Because whenever we will discuss in detail about that step down transformer, you will get clear idea about it. That transformer is also step down the AC. That means there will be again power drop or voltage drop and all that. But it is not like that. How it does it, that things also we will discuss. Is it? So at this stage, my suggestion is don't prefer that voltage dividers. Otherwise, there will be unnecessary continuous power drop. Okay. Now, what is that transformer? Step down transformer. Already you people are familiar, so no need to discuss in detail. But few things are important and that I want to highlight. So is it visible?
Yes, sir.
Are you getting my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So see, first of all, we'll see how that transformer is constructed. See, step by step, I tried to show some things here. The first step, this is known as a bobbin. So it is of plastic material, that means insulator. A plastic bobbin is there, and internally it is a hollow, okay, somewhat rectangular shape, right? So first of all, a number of primary winding turns are given on that bobbin, and starting and end terminals are taken out for the input supply purpose. So these two shown green colored wires are the input wires to apply 230 volt RMS to this winding which is wounded on that bobbin. Okay. As I shown, it is a second step. I mentioned the number of turns. This N1, this is nothing but number of turns of that primary winding which is powered by 230 volt RMS with 50 hertz. Is it? Here I shown only a single layer, but it is not a single layer. It will depend on somewhat ratings of that transformer. That means voltage rating, current rating, etc. So for simplicity purpose, I mention here the number of turns wounded on this bobbin is of N1. Are you seeing such wires? This conductor, mostly a copper wire is preferred to minimize the voltage drop or losses across that transformer, right? Then later on, once that number of turns, that is N1, are completed, one paper, it is wounded on that bobbin, right? On that coil, primary coil. This is just to provide somewhat isolation between primary and secondary. See, I tried to show it by a yellow colored paper. Okay, so it is just wrap on that primary winding. Later on, again, the secondary winding is started. Just it is wounded on that paper, which is wrapped around that primary. So you will observe first thing, which is most important, there is no physical contact between primary and secondary. Are you agree with this?
Yes,
See,
sir.
for primary, this one is the starting terminal of that winding. And once that number of turns will get complete, again, for external connection, this second wire is taken out to the soldering process and all that, right? So this is the insulated wire. And this one, again, it is insulated copper wire. It is a very thin wire, or again, the thickness of that wire, it depends on a few properties, or we can say few ratings of that transformer, right? Similarly, second wire, second coil, again, it is wounded on the paper, already I told. Again, there will be one is starting terminal of that secondary winding, and another one will be the end terminal. Okay, so I shown these two terminals by purple color wires, and one more wire by a dotted line I shown here. It indicates it might be there or it might not be. If it is there, then such type of transformer is known as center tap transformer. And if this middle wire is not there, which I shown by the dotted line, if it is not there, then it is known as a simple step down transformer. Are you getting? Now
Yes, sir.
where that middle one is connected, that also we will discuss. So see, suppose for step down transformer, you might be familiar about the number of turns of primary and secondary. Are they equal or different?
Different.
Different.
Okay. So for primary, number of turns are more or less as compared to secondary.
Less.
For step down, primaries are greater.
Okay, that means N1 is greater than N2, as I tried to show here.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Right now, N1, that is the number of turns of primary, and N2, that is the number of turns of secondary. They are different, right? And as per your answer, N1 is greater than N2. And that answer is correct also. Okay, because our discussion is for step down transformer, right? So N1 will be greater than N2. For example, suppose N1 is, we can say, just we take one example, 1000 number of turns. That is for N1. And N2 have, suppose 600 number of turns. That means secondary number of turns are 600 and primary number of turns are 1000. Is it clear? If the same transformer, same number of turns transformer, if we have to manufacture as a simple transformer, then simply what I will do for secondary, once that primary will get completed, I will just wound that secondary with 600 number of turns, and there will be one starting terminal and another one will be the end terminal of that wire, which is wounded on that bobbin over the primary coil. Is it? And if we applied 230 volt across this primary according to that ratio to which you are familiar, you will get the step down voltage across this end to end terminal of that secondary, right? Now suppose I want to manufacture the same number of turns of primary and secondary, but that transformer should be of center tap transformer. What I will do for N1, again I will give the number of turns as 1000 as it is, and when I will start to wound the secondary, when first 300 number of turns will get complete, I will stop over there. Just will remove the enamel, that is insulation provided on that copper wire which is wounded on this bobbin. I will simply remove that insulation and we'll go on to solder external wire, insulated wire. Here I try to show it by black color. So this black color wire will be at 600 number of turns. And again, at 300 number of turns of that secondary. And remaining 300 number of turns, again, I will just going on to continue. Are you getting? So remember, in this case, you will have 3 terminals now. One is starting terminal, then that center tap terminal is exactly at the center of that total wire, or at 300 number of turns of that wire, and third one will be the end of that complete wire. Are you getting? Yes or no? Shall I?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
No need to explain again, no?
No, sir.
Okay. And later on, again, it is just wrapped by paper to protect the coil. And later on, these are known as the stamping, okay? It is just put inside. Already I told this is a hollow bobbin. So these stamping from both sides are inserted. A number of that stampings are inserted, and at the end, that means the 7th step, as shown here, the complete transformer gets ready as per the rating, as per the calculation. Okay. So a few things which are most important. I think you are familiar with what is meant by that step down, what is that ratio and everything. Here, I shown that Vs by Vp, Vs is nothing but secondary voltage, Vp is nothing but primary, then Ns by Np, secondary number of turns, primary number of turns, and the current ratio is inverse, that is Ip by If. Generally, you people are familiar like this, V2 by V1 equals to N2 by N1 equals to I1 by I2. One stands for primary, 2 stands for secondary, one and the same thing. Is it clear? And you might be familiar with this much terms. You might not be familiar with reflected load resistance. Whenever we are connecting some load to the secondary, that load resistance, it gets reflected towards the primary side also, right? And how much it is. That things also we will be going to discuss in detail. And at the end, you will observe that Rp, that is reflected resistance towards the primary, equals to the resistance connected across that secondary, that is R, into Np by Ns in that bracket square. So one thing you will observe here, Rp, that is reflected resistance towards the primary due to the load connected across secondary, will be greater than the actual load connected to the secondary side. Are you agree? See, there will be somewhat non-zero load resistance. Suppose this one is 1K. Okay. Already, you also given the answer, Np, it is greater than Ns. That means this ratio, it will be greater than 1 and its square. So that from this formula or from this relation, what you can understood that Rp is greater than R. Am I right? So the primary side reflected resistance is always greater than the actual resistance connected to the secondary of that transformer. Okay. So if this one is a step-up transformer, what is going to happen in step-up transformer? First of all, remember, primary number of turns will be less than secondary. Then primary voltage will be less than secondary voltage. That's why we are calling it as a step-up. Okay. Now the most important thing which you have to understood for transformer is that, I will just ask the question, whatever N1 and N2 I shown, or whatever wired, I will going on to prefer to have that primary winding as well as secondary winding will have the same thickness or different thickness of wire. Technically, it is known as a SWG, or it is written in terms of SWG, that is standard wire gauge. It comes from very few number to very high number. That means 18, 15, 25, 30, 45 SWG wires. So whatever example I given, like 15, 20, 25, 30, and 45, what do you think, which wire will be more thick between these two numbers? First number, suppose I mention as a 15 and last number as 45. So what do you think? Which wire will be of more thickness? Or which wire will have the more thickness? Either 15 SWG or 45 SWG. Can anybody? I given only two options. One is 15 and another one is 45. And ask the question, which wire will be more thicker? 15 SWG or 45 SWG? You are not familiar, and that's why can answer. Okay. So remember, as that SWG number increases, wire becomes more and more thin. That means 15 SWG wire will be more thick as compared to 45. You have to remember this thing. During your technical interview, this type of question may get asked. Okay. 15 SWG wire, it will be more thick as compared to 45 SWG. Yes, 45 SWG will be thin as compared to 15. Is it clear now? Are you getting my audio?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So is it clear now about the SWG?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now the question is, again I will repeat the question. What do you think about the SWG which is used for primary and secondary? Will it be same or different? Don't know? Okay. That wires have different SWG. First thing, remember. Whatever wire used for primary and secondary have the different SWG. Okay. Why they have the different SWG? Can you understood looking towards this formula or towards this ratio? Vs by Vp equals to Ns by Np equals to Ip by Is. Okay. If it is a step down transformer, which current will be more? Primary current or secondary current? First of all, voltage. Which voltage will be more? As it is a step down, primary voltage is large as compared to secondary. That's why we are calling it as a step down. Am I right? But the question is, again, for the same transformer, either primary current will be more or secondary current will be more. What do you think?
So secondary current will be more.
Secondary current will be more. Correct. Correct answer. Now, as you answer that secondary current will be more, now the thickness of wire, it is related to the amount of current flowing through that wire. Am I right? So if primary current will be less, no need of thick wire for primary. But as you given the correct answer, secondary current will be more. That means the current rating, that more current rating or current handling capacity of that secondary should be more. Am I right? And that's why secondary winding, it is wounded generally with somewhat thick wire as compared to primary. So primary is thin as compared to secondary. Secondary is thick. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.